Welcome to today's verdict. I'm your host and trial attorney, David Lesh. We have two very interesting topics today. Sammy's Law, which hopefully will be passed, which will be protecting our pedestrians throughout the city in terms of reducing speed limits on our city streets. And next up, we're going to be discussing the delivery cap fee that many of these food delivery services charge restaurants, and whether or not they're going to be allowed to go up. Very interesting. And I have two guests who I think you're going to enjoy. As you can see, we have much to get to, so stay tuned. Today's verdict starts right now. Hi, welcome back to today's verdict. I'm your host and trial attorney, David Lesh. We have with us today a very important topic. We're going to be talking about Sammy's Law. And with us is a Nakia Whittington. Nakia, how are you doing today?
I'm hanging in there.
You're hanging in there?
Yes.
Okay, we were talking a little bit before the segment, and I'd like you to tell the viewers a little bit about how you're connected to Sammy's Law, if you could.
So I'm connected to Sammy's Law, unfortunately, for the wrong reason, due to the loss of my son, Siobhan Bethia Jr. On May 26, 2018, he was hit and ran over by an empty bus in the Bronx. When I got the call that I have to get to the Bronx. When I got to the Bronx, my son was already gone. I couldn't make it in time. I didn't make it in time. When it was happening to me, like I said, we see this on the news all the time. We see accidents like this occurring all the time, and you never know when this can knock on your door, when this can happen to you and your family. When it happened to me, I really couldn't understand what was happening, what was going on. It felt like a dream to me. It also felt like the Twilight Zone. My son was the youngest of four. He was very close to me. When I lost Siobhan, it took a part of me.
How old was Siobhan at the time?
At the time, he was 7.
7, okay.
He was 7. I felt like he was robbed. He was robbed. He had a lot to offer this world. He was a little light in this world, and I'm sure every other mother feel the same about their kids. I am standing with Family for Safe Streets, with the Sammy's Law. I am standing for this law because I don't want to see another mother go through the pain that I've went through and I've had to endure, especially dealing with the city and fighting for justice for my son.
Now, Sammy's Law is reducing the speed limit
Yes.
out in New York City. Am I correct?
Yes, they are.
Do you know who it's named for? I know Sammy, but do you know the background at all about Sammy's Law or no?
I know a little bit of the background about the Sammy's Law. The only thing that what I can tell you is, since I've been with Family for Safe Street, because this is the organization that I stand for, and they explained to me what the Sammy Laws is about, what the Sammy's Law is about, and I felt like it was a good idea to reduce the speed limit, because a lot of these drivers, when they're driving, I live in Brooklyn, New York,
Yeah.
and when they're driving, it's like a speed track. It's like a speed track, and not just Siobhan. My oldest son got hit a year after by a church van. Yes, hit out of the walkway by a church van. And he fractured his knee, he fractured his ankle, he fractured inside his hands. And I'm still dealing with that too today. So it was like reliving the same thing I went through with Siobhan a year after. So when I saw what happened to my other son as well, and I feel like this is not going to stop until they do something about the speed limit and about the laws that they have in place, I feel like it need reforming because these drivers has no consequences. They get slapped with a ticket, and most of the times with these cases, the driver do not get arrested. They do not get arrested. It's no penalties, there's no consequences for their actions. So I do feel like the Sammy law being put in place to reduce the speed limit, I believe it can make a big difference and it can save more lives if these drivers have, if they were able to reduce the speed limit.
Some people think that the city is also trying to do this so they could make sure that they're recovering monies for a lot of tickets. They can make a lot of money as well. And that's why some people don't want the fee, the reduction down
Yeah.
to 2025 because they think, oh, it's just a way for the city just to charge us more money when you go over the speed limit by a little amount. What do you say to people who say that?
I will say, think about your family. Think about your kids. Remember, New York is known for back in the day, kids playing double dutch on the sidewalks and
Sure.
playing ball on the sidewalks. Kids cannot do that anymore. Think about your children. If we think that this is just a way for the city to make money, it is not. It is to help pedestrians, people like us, families like me, and what it is I've experienced, what I've been through, just experiencing this. I never educated myself about these things until I lost my son. And like I said, you see it happening all the time. But when I lost my son, I started understanding about the laws. I started understanding, what happened with the bus driver, the speed limit he was going. I started to get involved into this. And it's so much more
And what
bigger.
did you find out? What did you find out? How fast was the bus driver going?
From what I understand, he was going fast. I cannot remember the exact speed he was going, but he didn't stop until 3 blocks over after hitting Siobhan. Siobhan, he wasn't just hit, but he was also compressed to the ground.
Well, what is the organization you're with doing to try and,
Family,
yeah,
I'm with the organizations called Family for Safer Streets.
and what is Family for Safe Streets doing with respect to Sammy's Law? Are they also going to court at all? Are they asking you to appear before a council? What else are they
Yeah,
doing?
we've been rallying this. They've been going to Albany to rally this. We've been having meetings about this. We've been fighting for this since I've been with Family for Safer Streets, and it's going on 5 years since I lost my son now. This is all they've been talking about. This is what it's been about.
And have you been going to the rallies yourself as well?
I've went to a couple of the rallies, and not only that, there was a young lady that was hit by a Brinks truck in Brooklyn, and I was asked to come out and offer up a word of encouragement to the mother because I was sitting in her shoe just a few years ago, you know, and I go out and I see these families, I see these parents, I see how they're hurting when they lose a child. Nothing is harder to endure than losing a child, you know. So I plead with people to understand what we're fighting for. We're not just fighting for ourselves, and I'm not just fighting for Siobhan anymore. I'm fighting so that they can really put this law in place so it can protect us, the people, the pedestrians.
And have you been told to whether or not you're going to be successful in putting this forward? Would Governor Hochul have a chance to sign this? What have you heard?
So far, I know that we're working on getting them to sign this law into place, to get this law put into place. So far, we've been successful with reaching out to certain governors and the city council. We've been successful doing that. Um, I'm not I'm not 100% sure as to exactly where we at right now, but I know I'm fighting for a greater cause. That I do know.
Well, we wish you well, and we're really very sorry about what happened with Shaborn. And I'm I really think that you're doing a good service. And there are
Thank you.
many parents out there who have lost loved ones because of speeding drivers. And I think you're
Yes.
keeping the memory of your son alive by helping out. I do believe that. Maybe you can come back soon and let us know, how the Sammy's Law is going, and give us an update if you could do that.
Yes, thank you so much. And remember, I told you it's not just about Siobhan, because it's many other kids that lost their life because of these speed limits, these drivers that's reckless on the
Yeah,
road. And my oldest son experienced it. I pray to God when they called me and said my oldest son got hit by a van. I was just crying, hysterical. I thought he died because that's what happened with Siobhan.
first one. Yeah.
So I'm thankful to be a part of this, and I'm thankful and I appreciate you guys for allowing me to tell you guys what happened to me and what I've experienced as a mom.
All right. Well, Nakia, good luck to you, and you be safe yourself as well. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
All right. You too. All right. Stay with us. Today's verdict has so much more coming up right after this.
Thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how's sketches, vaping? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutVaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Okay, welcome back to today's verdict. I'm your host and trial attorney, David Lesh. We have rejoining us Andrew Rigi. Andrew's a friend of the show. Haven't seen you for some time, though. Andrew, how you doing today?
Doing well. Very nice to see you. I keep saying everyone, it's better than it was. So let's go into that direction.
It's funny. You were on when the pandemic started. That's how we got to know each other. And now things are obviously much better than they were. And but yet there's still so much more work to do. And today you're going to be talking about the delivery fee cap. Why don't you just give the viewers a little bit of a synopsis of what's been going on behind the scenes here?
Sure. Unfortunately, while New York City is world famous for our delivery, there's something very quintessential New York City about restaurant delivery. Some of these big third-party delivery apps like Grubhub, for example, have a very long history of exploiting local restaurants, charging them fees for services they didn't provide, creating fake websites and phone numbers for them to essentially steal their customers and then charge the restaurants higher fees, and a whole long list of these just bad business practices that certainly are unethical, if not illegal. And before the pandemic struck, there were a bunch of city council hearings that provided oversight into the business practices of these billion-dollar third-party delivery company. And it exposed tons of these really bad business practices. And the city council was moving to regulate them. And then the pandemic struck, boom, shut everything down. And the city council, to their credit, moved quickly to enact a bunch of laws, particularly because restaurants were shut down and they could only do delivery, to rush and put them in place. One of them was a fee cap, which was happening before the pandemic, but that really expedited its implementation. And it said that third-party delivery companies could only charge restaurants two fees. One, a maximum of 5% for being listed on their website and marketing them, and a second fee of 15% if the third-party delivery is doing the physical delivery to the customer's home or apartment or office. So it couldn't exceed more than 20% plus the credit card fee. So in total, these companies can't charge a restaurant more than 23% for each order. And then they also, in many cases, charge the customer, as viewers probably know, a fee for getting their food delivered.
Well, let's talk first about the marketing fee, because I find this very interesting. I assume that that's where they, on their own website, they list the restaurant and they hype the restaurant up for the type of food that the restaurant is serving. That's what we're talking about in terms of the marketing, correct?
Correct. And now there's this bill in the city council, which would essentially gut the fee cap and turn what is now a fee cap into essentially a fee floor. And we've coined it the bigger fees for big delivery bill, because while everyone wants... Oh, yeah.
But the only thing about that is that I read that if you wanted to stay at the 5%, you could stay at the 5%. Now, I guess that leads to the suggestion that those who are staying at 5% aren't going to get as good a marketing as somebody who's going to be getting 7%, is paying 7 or 8%. But you can stay at the 5%. Am I correct?
So you are correct in the statement, but it's kind of a false option for many, because what ended up happening pre-pandemic was that there were multiple options. Look at it like a, bronze, silver, and gold package. And if you pay more, you get more marketing. In theory, that sounds fine. We want restaurants to be able to market themselves, get more customers. The problem is that this market is controlled by essentially $3 billion corporations: Grubhub, Seamless, Uber, and DoorDash. And because they have so much market power, they are able to essentially dominate the marketplace and manipulate restaurant and consumer behavior. So while the option is, yes, you can pay 5% and still get marketing fee on the platform, you'll basically, I don't want to say not exist, but for practical purposes, it'll be almost impossible for any customer to find you unless they probably type in your name directly.
What if they guaranteed that they will give you the exact same service and the same marketing that they gave you before the cap goes up? Would that be amenable as a possible solution?
I think they could certainly offer that, and we could have a discussion, but they're not offering that. These companies have a very long history of suing the city over every single little bit of regulation they pass to rein in and put guardrails on the sector. And they spend just crazy amounts of money on lobbying. I mean, they do not want to be regulated. This is all about deregulating the third-party delivery marketplace so they can dominate the market and they can manipulate the market to the benefit and profit of their owners and their investors. And listen, we represent small businesses. We are about capitalism. I'm usually on here talking about fighting to reduce red tape, reduce regulations, but we also recognize that when too few big companies dominate a marketplace, you need to have sensible guardrails in place to prevent the type of exploitation that we have seen from these companies throughout their histories of operating here.
So where are we with the legislation right now?
So right now, the city council had a big hearing. We had a lot of restaurateurs come out. We were very opposed to eliminating the fee cap. A lot of them contacted their city council members, and now it's just kind of out there. I think the city council will go back. They'll review some of the comments or all of the comments from the public hearing and everything that was submitted. But there's also a really important point. When the fee cap went into place at the request of the third-party delivery companies, and we agreed, it requires that in September of 2023, so not too far off, the city has to publish a report on the effects and impact of the delivery fee cap. Should it remain in place as is? Should it be modified? Should it be eliminated entirely? So what we're saying is, let's wait for that report to be released.
Well, why hasn't that report been released already?
Because it's going to come out
basically over. Where was the report?
So it's scheduled to come out in September. So what happened was the initial law was a temporary fee cap during the pandemic. Then the law was made permanent because a lot of the council members had gone through the hearings. They had seen a lot of the business practices. So the law that was passed made it permanent. And it says that in September and then every so often after that, a report's supposed to be released. So what we've said to the third-party delivery companies is, listen, we're open-minded. We just know your history. So we're not going to forget it, but we're willing to work with you constructively. You requested this report. Let's wait until September. Let's see what it says. And then let's be data driven. Let's be informed in the way that we consider any potential modifications to this fee cap. It's a little bit curious how now they are not only suing the city, they're undertaking an enormously expensive and aggressive lobbying campaign to try to gut the fee cap law before the results of the study come out that they requested. What's in it? Are they scared of something? I don't know. Let's just wait and let's do it in a more thoughtful way.
I'm no fan of giving more leeway to the these big companies, DoorDash or whatever. But at the same time, I understand restaurants are doing better now, which leads me to my next question, and that has to do with outdoor dining.
Yes.
And what's going on there? Are we removing these sheds? Are we keeping the sheds? What's the story?
That we have been since probably July of 2021, and now we're, in 2023, the second quarter of 2023, urging the city to finalize the guidelines for a permanent outdoor dining program. We are hoping the city council and the mayor are very close to an agreement on these long negotiations for the permanent outdoor dining program. The streeteries, the roadway seating, under the permanent program, the vast majority, if not all of it, is going to come down, and there's going to be a new program. Don't forget, when this stuff was put into place, we were in the midst of crisis. People didn't have money. They put together whatever they could, and it's actually a beautiful thing. Even some of the stuff that's ugly,
it's sometimes it's a beautiful thing.
No,
sometimes it's not such a beautiful thing.
No, what I'm saying, it's a beautiful thing that out of nothing and out of crisis, people slapped these things together. No one knew we were going to go on for this long. No one knew that we were going to go through the summer.
And there are some beautiful outdoor dining restaurants really by me on Madison Avenue. I love some of them, and some of them on Second Avenue aren't looking so good.
And that stuff should come down. And that's the whole point. What we've been saying since day one. I meant more of like a philosophical. There's the beauty of the resiliency, but now it's time to transition from this temporary emergency program into a permanent program that has high standards, it's more sustainable. Restaurateurs need to know what to be able to do. It doesn't go, one day doesn't go by where I don't hear from really like at least one restaurateur saying, Andrew, what do I do with my outdoor dining? I want to upgrade it. I want to invest, but I'm not going to spend money on it when I'm still trying to recover. If the city's going to come by in a month from now and tell me, you got to take this all down, you got to change everything because it's not in compliance with the permanent program. So the lack of guidance and certainty from the city has actually undermined the program and outdoor dining as a whole. And that's a big problem.
I understand that, but you kind of have to think about the pulse on the street every once in a while. And I'm in there, and I'm there with everybody else. And there's a feeling that something somewhere has to be done with respect to the ones that are run down and are taking up a lot of spaces that could either be used for bikes or for parking or something else. And they're dangerous sometimes. Cars sometimes hit them. But at the same time, I'm not trying to take away income from these restaurants because of the outdoor dining. But, as the pandemic is slowly fading away, just like with the delivery cap, and people are arguing about that, something has to change. And does it look like it is going to have a change in the next 6 months to a year, or are we still going to just be?
Yes, I mean, I would hope so. Like I said, we've been asking for a change since 2021 because we knew that people needed actual standards. I mean, we were happy. We had been urging the city to go remove the abandoned or the dilapidated roadside or sidewalk structures. Nobody wants that. It undermines the outdoor dining for everyone. And that's what no one wants. And what I think and what I hope and what we've been advocating for is a more standardized and sustainable outdoor dining program. We'll go back to when sidewalk cafes looked like sidewalk cafes pre-pandemic. Tables, chairs, umbrellas, an awning, some planters, maybe some barriers. The thing that the public won't necessarily recognize is what we want behind the scenes. Cut the red tape, cut the bureaucracy, and have the cost to participate a lot lower. Because pre-pandemic, when there was about, I don't know, 1,400 or fewer sidewalk cafes throughout the 5 boroughs, about the vast majority of them were located south of 96th Street in Manhattan, because areas outside of that neighborhood were prohibited from having them, or in many cases, there was too much red tape and the cost was prohibitive, particularly for smaller restaurants. So sidewalk cafes should look like they did pre-pandemic. The streeteries, the roadway dining, I think a lot of it's going to be gone. Fewer restaurants will participate,
that's
but
fair.
it'll be more outdoor dining. I'm not talking about indoor, what I call indoor dining outdoors. It's going to be outdoor dining that, you know, is beautiful, that looks like the beautiful stuff. Get rid of the crap.
I can agree with that. That's fair. And listen, have a very happy holiday. Do me a favor, come back and visit, say hello,
Absolutely.
right? And, you know, we'll see you maybe in the next couple of months. You'll give us an update.
That would be wonderful. Great seeing
All
you
right.
and chatting.
That's great. All right, stay with us. Today's Verdict has much more right after this.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Hey, boss. Okay?
I said I'm fine.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
Is everywhere, like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that could be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker hordes.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
Well, that's all we have for today. I'd like to thank our guests for joining us, and of course, you, the viewers, for watching. If there's an issue or a topic you'd like to see on a future edition of Today's Verdict, just feel free to email me at davidlesh@bronxnet.org. And of course, until the next time, know your issues, reach a verdict. See you in 2 weeks.